And we're waiting. Here we go. Hello out there, ATL sports fans and Philadelphia sports fans, and dare I say it, New Orleans sports fans. But tonight we come to you not talking sports. It's me and my friend, Mr. Jordan Burton. We are both Marvel enthusiasts, and tonight we are discussing the movie Thunderbolts. Great movie came out last week. Jordan and I saw it. Jordan saw it last week. I saw it this week. Great movie. Jordan, hey man, let's get into it. I think the last time I kind of really did a lot of the descriptions, but do me a favor, if you would tell everyone in the chat about the origin of the Thunderbolts in the comics and who they were, and then we'll transition into the MCU. Go ahead, Jordan.
So in the comics, there's different ways of doing the Thunderbolts. Yeah. Also, some people refer to them as the Dark Avengers too. That's a lot of people like going into these movies thought that little asterisk, and we'll get to the asterisk eventually. Everybody thought the asterisk meant they were going to be the Dark Avengers. I was probably one of those people that thought that. Because I love the Dark Avengers. That was one of my favorite comic book storylines, was the Dark Avengers with Norman Osborn, the same Norman Osborn who is the Green Goblin, but he's basically Iron Patriot. Wore the same Iron Patriot armor you saw in Iron Man 3, right? Basically the same exact thing. But the Thunderbolts themselves derive from Thunderbolt Ross, who now we know is the Red Hulk. If you have seen, which I mean, if you're watching this, I'm sure you should be caught up. If you're watching this and you are not caught up, stop. Go to the theater now.
Spoiler alert! Yeah.
But Thunderbolt Ross in the comics puts together a team that a government-funded team of Avengers, basically. And they're named after him. Thunderbolt Ross, Thunderbolts. Who's in the team has differed throughout the years. Mainly U.S. Agent has been in there. Like I said before, with the Dark Avengers, Norman Osborn. Sentry is involved in quite a bit of Thunderbolts, Dark Avengers projects. Mainly it's sort of mirroring what the Avengers are. So you'll have your Captain America type of character. You'll have your Iron Man type of character, your God-like character. You'll have in the comics, Spider-Man-like character, which we didn't really get that now. You'll have your Black Widow type character and Captain Marvel. There's the lineup differs throughout the years, but that's mainly the group in the comics. Thunderbolts, I never read a lot of Thunderbolts projects. Like I said, I was more of a Dark Avengers person. Mm-hmm. But they kind of go hand in hand at times. And I always love it. It's always a group of anti-heroes. You hate to root for them. You'll always root against them when they're going head to head against the Avengers, but they're a group of villains turned to anti-heroes that's funded by the government. So it's always an interesting storyline.
Yeah, they're Marvel's answer to DC's Suicide Squad. But what I will say is this movie is written a whole lot better. And no disrespect to the Suicide Squad, but I enjoyed this movie a whole lot more than the Suicide Squad. I connected with this movie a whole lot more than the Suicide Squad. So let's get into it, right? We've got the Red Guardian, who is Yelena's, I guess, adopted dad or some kind of way. Again, you probably need to go back and see the not the Wanda movie, the Black Widow movie to understand who Yelena is. But Yelena was Wanda's sister from the Red Room, and of
Natasha.
Thank you. Hey, Mike, how's it going, buddy? Hope all is well. We got two Mikes in here. We got Island Mike, who says I'm out. I don't know, maybe he's not a comic book guy. And then we got Mike. What up, Mike? fellas, what to do, Mike? Hey, tonight we're talking Thunderbolts movie. So, we got Yelena, we got Red Guardian, we have what's her name? The Ghost from the
Mhm.
Ant-Man and the Wasp movie, who was initially the villain, who was essentially trying to just take care of a dad because he had cancer. We have who's the other one that gets taken out right away?
Taskmaster.
Taskmaster.
Yeah.
And we have U.S. Agent, and of course we have Bucky, and we have the Sentry, who is part protagonist and antagonist in this movie, as well as what's her name, Contessa. I want to call her Cruella.
Allegra de Valentina.
Yep, her. That one.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she makes a point of saying "de Valentina" in the movie. But anyway, Contessa's been a bad girl, and as the movie starts, she has all of the Thunderbolts on various missions around the world, and then she starts in what is it, a Senate hearing, or what is that? It's a what do you call the process where you're trying to go after a senator? It's a
I don't remember.
Anyway, it's a court proceeding, and she's answering. It's a whatever it is. It's where senators have to answer a bunch of questions in front of Congress. It's very public, and a lot of times they end up going to jail. And so essentially, what she's been doing is she's been doing tests on human beings, right? So and this is the one thing about this scenario like this that is true. If ever there was a Captain America, you're going to have somebody that's going to try and do it bigger and better, right? And essentially, that's how this started. Is they took the serum for Captain America and they made it 100, 300, 800 times more potent, I guess is the word, Jordan. And they were giving it to people, and most of them died. And people found out about it, and Congress found out about it. And so they are in the process of, bringing her before Congress and having her to answer. And as this is going on in the backdrop, she is having all of the evidence taken out, all of the loose ends taken out, and getting rid of everybody. And so a part of this is she has all of the Thunderbolts to come together and try and kill each other. And one of them does die. Taskmaster is killed by Ghost. And as they meet up. And this obviously gave you a little chuckle. So talk to us about what's funny about this scenario here, Jordan.
All right. This all starts with the Black Widow movie, which, by the way, I am a supporter of that movie. I loved Black Widow when it came out. I think it came out way too late. Like, it shouldn't have come out after Endgame. It should have came out after Civil War. But I still think more highly of it than other people do, because when I'm doing my rewatch, I rewatch in chronological order. So I start off with like Captain America, First Avenger, go to Captain Marvel, and so on. And so after Civil War, I'll watch Black Widow at some point. And Taskmaster in the comics, I remember I had a Taskmaster action figure. Taskmaster in the comics is able to replicate the fighting style of anyone that they are fighting up against.
Yeah.
And that is such a cool and interesting concept, and they did it well at times, especially fighting style. I mean, in this movie, a Taskmaster like whips out a blade and like moves it around like Gamora used to in the Guardians of the Galaxy. But they just did the character so wrong. And some people are like, oh, well, it's because it's a girl playing Taskmaster. No, it has actually nothing to do with that. It's just it turned into Taskmaster should be their own character and not a henchman. Right. And that's basically what they turned Taskmaster into for Black Widow. So they just did the character so wrong and dirty, and they did it again. And in the whole promo for this movie, the actress who plays, I do not know the actress's name, mainly because she was not very well promoted. it was made publicly aware that it seemed like that this character was going to get killed off based off the trailers.
Yeah.
They didn't do a great job of hiding that. But even to this day, this actress is on all the posters, on all the promotions, and she has one line of dialogue in the entire movie.
Yeah, I'm not
It's
here for you. What you say? I'm not here for you.
yes,
Is that it? Yeah. I'm not here for
yeah,
you. Yeah.
and like it's almost reminiscent of I forget what her name's big actress at the beginning of Scream, the original Scream movie.
Yeah.
How she was. I'm
The
forgetting her
blonde
name.
lady.
She was in 50 First Dates. She was in
Yeah.
Scream, one of the best
Firestarter.
actresses.
Drew
Yeah,
Barrymore.
Drew Barrymore. Yes. Like Drew Barrymore was all over the posters for Scream, and she was only in the beginning, but it played very well. This is very different.
Yeah.
And it's very silly. And I know a lot of people who are Taskmaster fans, they wanted more of a redemption arc. And the way the other characters are held throughout the movie, they had redemption. But this character, I think Marvel just wanted to be done with this character. And maybe in the future, if we do get another Taskmaster, we get a more comic accurate adaptation, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. I agree with you because that was so quick. I mean, it was like, you know what? We're just gonna go ahead and write you out because we have no plans for you. Thank you for coming, and good night. So yeah, they show up. Obviously, Taskmaster's taken out, and they being U.S. agent Yelena and Ghost, and they meet Robert Reynolds. And Robert Reynolds kind of shows up on the scene. Hey guys, what are you doing here? And he's checking them out, and they're fighting, and he's clearly unaware as to what's taking place. And he's like, now that you guys are done fighting, hey, you think we could get out of here? Like, how do we do it? Give me your thoughts, first impressions on Robert Reynolds and Marvel's adaptation. First thing you thought when you saw him.
So Lewis Pullman, the actor who plays Robert Pullman or Bob, he goes by like 4 different names in this movie, which is great. He's the son of I forget what his name is, but he's the president in Independence Day, and he's
Bill
like
Pullman.
real life. Yes,
Bill Pullman.
He's the real life son.
He does look like him. He does. Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't cut you off. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, and I love. He's one of my favorite presidents in any movie where we have a president. He's one of my favorites, and his speech in Independence Day, awesome. But Lewis Pullman, first time I got introduced to him was in Top Gun Maverick, which his character's name is also Bob, and there's this funny scene like in this movie where he's like, "I'm Bob." And in the movie, he's like, "Oh, what's your code name, Bob?"
Bob.
So,
Bob. Yeah.
I love the immediate like he's like quirky in a way. Like I think they did a really good job of finding. Lewis Pullman just does a great job of finding a character who's broken, and. In the comics, Sentry there's 2 different adaptations. The newer comics are the more well-known, and I enjoy them more. I haven't read them in a while, but Sentry is more of dealing with like mental health and
personality disorder.
Yeah,
well, some would say schizophrenia, but I think it's multiple personality disorder because he's aware of the other personality. He does lose time, but he is aware, and I think with schizophrenia, I don't know, one of them, the other personalities are not aware of each other, which I think is schizophrenia, and with multiple personality disorder, they are aware of each other. But either way, he's got some stuff going on. I'm sorry, Jordan, go ahead.
I don't necessarily, I think it's depression. And I think
severe depression. Yes.
so. I think all right. In the movie, Bob, he's a recovering drug addict, and he goes to Southeast Asia because he's told that he can get more drugs and get these new drugs, and that's where he's basically tested on and giving this serum to try and make him this superhero. And like Terry was saying, other people have died during this experiment, and he's clearly in a dark place, and he is. I mean, everybody thought he died after he got this serum. And in the beginning of the movie, when Yelena is trying to destroy this building, we actually see in the background these shadows, and I noticed it right away, and I was like, okay, we're going to come back to the scene later on.
Yeah.
And that's where Bob was. So this guy who has depression, he's just trying, because he's dealt with trauma as a child, he's tried to cover it up by doing drugs. There's a joke throughout the movie that he was doing meth. And we see him, he was wearing a chicken outfit.
Yeah. Oh, that was funny. Oh, that was funny. We'll get into it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah. But I mean, he clearly has depression, and Dave Valentina, she just is taking advantage of him, basically. And who knows what the other people who took this serum were like. They could have been taken advantage of. So him getting these powers turned Bob into the Century. But with that, whenever he's talking about, oh, my dark side comes out, it's that depression. Yeah. And I mean, I know a lot of people who have depression, and I've seen it on a daily basis, and with a lot of different people in my life. So his adaptation was beautifully done.
It was
a great job acting from him. When him and Yelena are in the vault in the beginning of the movie, and he's like, well, you guys go ahead without me, I'll be fine. And Yelena's like, well, you'll die down here. And he's like, it's okay. And I'm like, that I've seen that in people. So just a well done job, because that's exactly what the comics iteration is. You have Century, who's also Robert, and when that depression really ramps up and takes him over, he ends up becoming devoid, which we see later on.
Yeah, what's interesting, and you would never know this, and a lot of people don't know this, but I suffer with depression. My mother died 5 days from now it'll be a year. And to be quite candid with you, during this process, there's been some days it's been tough to get out of bed. So I really connected with this movie, because you are spot on when you say that. And most people don't understand, when you're going through it, you don't realize it. You do realize it, but you don't realize it, right? I thank God for podcasting, because it gave me something to do. It gave me something to focus on. But I'd be lying if I didn't say I don't deal with it. I don't go through my bouts as well. And it is tough. And the beautiful thing about this is, when this movie starts, Yelena is talking about the void that she feels. Basically, Wanda, who was her big sister, who was her everything, is now dead, and she's dealing with this. And she says, the only thing I can call it is something's missing, is it's a void. And so when Robert says to her, you guys go ahead, she recognizes immediately what's going on with it. And we got to do some housekeeping. Mike says, fellas. King Richie says, fellas, what's up? Mike says, fellas. Christy says, I wanted to see this movie. And Christy, you should. It's a great movie. But right away, she sees this in him, right? When he says, I'll just be better off. You guys will be better off without me. She recognizes it. And she recognizes it because as she's standing on the building, to be honest with you, to be brutally honest with you, I think she's contemplating suicide there. Yeah, I know she's got a parachute, but if you look at the look on her face, she has a look on her face that's like, you know what? If I just jump, nobody cares. I'm just gonna jump. Oh, okay, I got to do this job. All right, but you can feel this sense of isolation, this sense of loneliness, right? So she recognizes that in him, and immediately they connect. And you and I were talking about this off camera, but it's funny at the parallels that are in this movie, right? And the tiebacks that are in this movie. So if we go back to the Avengers, Wanda and the Hulk connect. Remember, she was the only one that could get him to turn. She was the only one that would be like, hey, big guy, the sun's getting low. Why? Because she wasn't afraid of him, because she knew what it was to be a monster. She knew what it was to be ashamed. She knew what it was to have done some bad things that you can't take back, right? And whether or not a lot of people know it, the Hulk is a very tortured soul. We kind of get away from that in Endgame and all this other stuff. But if you go back to the comics, even if you go back to the 70s adaptation, Bruce Banner is a very tortured soul. The Hulk is this gargantuan, hulking creature, but Bruce Banner is there to pick up the pieces. And Wanda recognizes him. And just like she's not afraid of the monster, Yelena is not afraid of the monster that's in the Sentry because of that immediate connection. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So I just that spoke to me. The whole look it, man. When I go through bouts where I don't want to clean up, I don't want to do nothing. And so I could really relate. This movie really resonated with me because of the feeling of and don't get me wrong. Look, I'm not complaining. I'm not trying to get sympathy. I'm just being transparent with you, right? That's a word your generation likes, Jordan. Transparency. I'm being transparent with you. There are days I feel alone, man. And I talk to my wife about it every day, and my wife has been a godsend, and I thank God for her. But losing your mom is tough. It is tough. And so I bring it up to say that I agree with you. I think the way that he acted this was beautiful because number one, we all have that dark side, right? But what I really like about this movie is when the dark side came upon him slow, right? It didn't just take over. He didn't immediately recognize it. It came upon him slow. And what I think was really well done was not only his encapsulation of the duality or the dichotomy of depression and health, or being of sound mental health and depression. But when he got those powers, right? And I'm jumping the script a little bit, but the interaction between he and Contessa, for lack of a better term, is the devil. Okay, I truly believe this. She's a terrible person. She really is. But when he says, "Well, if you say I can beat the Avengers, and they have a god, then wouldn't that make me a god?" Mm-hmm. And it's funny because as we're watching this, I'm like, "Oh shit." Oh shit. And I think he does a great job of just logically walking this through. He's like, well, because and to take a step back, basically the Thunderbolts have arrived at the building. They're trying to arrest Contessa, and during the interaction, she's insulting them and trying to get them agitated, so they attack her, so the sentry will come down to protect her, because she's trying to play the mothering role with him, because she knows what's going on. She knows of his past. And the fight takes place, but he doesn't kill them. And he doesn't want to kill them. And she's like, well, I told you to do this. You need to do what I said. And he says, well, wait a minute. Now let's think about this. You told me that I could beat the Avengers, and they have a god. So if I can beat the Avengers and they have a god, then that makes me a god. And if I'm a god, why should I listen to you? And I'm looking at her, looking at him. And you know what's really cool? They don't tell you this, but for the reason he grabs her by the throat and pushes her against the wall, because he read her mind, right? Because he also has the power of telepathy. They don't tell you this, but he says, you want to kill me. You want to destroy me, right? And I just thought the way that they kind of suggested certain things, but didn't come out and say it, was really cool. Give me your thoughts on this scene. Give me your thoughts on this interaction.
Well, and I love the build up to this, because I mean, you see this broken character, and he's the only people that he's like had any trust in any situation has been Yelena, Ghost, and U.S. Agent trying to get out of that vault.
Right.
That is the only trust that he has gained from anyone in years. So immediately when Valentina has Sentry in the bed, and he wakes up, and he's immediately wondering, where are my friends at?
Right.
Where are they?
Right.
And she's trying to like undermine them, saying, oh, they're bad people, they've done a lot of bad things. And he's like, but they didn't do bad things to me.
Right.
And so his immediate trust in her has really gone down. So but immediately she tries to be that fake motherly figure. I mean, when she talks to her assistant, she's like, do I look motherly? Like, does this look and I'm like, oh God, here we go again. And great actress. I've never watched Seinfeld. I've seen bits and pieces.
Oh, really?
I'm not a Seinfeld fan.
Oh God, that was a great show.
I'm just not a fan, but I like her, and I like her, and a couple other actors in that show.
Wasn't she in Veep?
I have no idea what that is.
It was the vice president. She plays this kooky vice president character, a little like Contessa, but it was on HBO. But if you get it, it's called Veep. But anyway, I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
She doesn't. I mean, I knew when I saw her in. When was the first time we saw her? Was that? I'm pretty sure it was Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Yes. The show. And the first time I saw her, I was like, I like this. Like I like her being like an evil Nick Fury, and I really dug what she was going to be doing with the character. I'm like, I'm on board for whatever this is going to be, and she does a great job. I love that we see like her dark side, like how she grew up and her dad getting shot and killed. I love that Sentry saw that and showed her that, because it showed that she's not this perfect person that she wants everybody to believe.
Right.
But immediately when she has like a little bit of distrust in someone, in him after that scene, she wants to walk away, and then he's like, no, like I can be your superhero. Like he wants to make people happy, and be that superhero.
He wants
and so she manipulates him because he wants that purpose.
Right.
And as soon as he goes and with this purpose, he's all on board, and that's when you get to the interaction where he's like, well, if you say that I'm a combination of all of the Avengers, and the Avengers have Thor, who is a god, then doesn't that make me a god? Like, I mean, she said it, not him. So I dug the whole scene. Them having like this like kill switch made sense, I guess. But yeah, it was a great scene. I'm not 100% whether he is going to, because in the comic, Sentry does have some in some iterations like telepathy. Right. I'm not 100% sure if this iteration does or doesn't, because like you said, they don't like actually state that.
Right.
There's a possibility. I wouldn't be shocked if that ends up getting removed for Avengers Doomsday, because they want to like have Professor X be the only person who can read minds.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. But I'll tell you what else I liked about that scene. U.S. Agent, definitely Yelena, Bucky. These are very prodigious fighters. These are experienced fighters. Mm-hmm. These are combat veterans, and he's just toying with them, right? Mm-hmm. Because I'm gonna tell you what I initially said. I said, and I love the way they did this, because it's the only way they could have done this, Jordan. And you know this from us both reading the comics. The Sentry is all powerful. The Sentry is Marvel's version of Superman. Okay, the only people that could go toe to toe with the Sentry are probably Franklin Richards, Mad Jim Jaspers. I'm talking Reality War. I'm talking big time, like the Beyonders. Okay. Mm-hmm. These are street level heroes, most of them. They don't have a shot, and he's just toying with them, but you can tell he doesn't want to kill them, because he throws out Red Guardian, then brings him back, then throws Yelena over here, make sure she doesn't get hurt. But he's fighting them, right, and not killing them, but still whooping their ass. And I thought this was a great job. I mean, he dealt with them like you deal with the 3-year-old who you're playing with. You don't want to hurt, but but you want to make a point of what you can do, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, I'm gonna throw you up, I'm gonna catch you, I'm gonna put you like that. The way they did that scene was great, because to the layman it says this is a bad dude right here, and they have no shot against. They have no shot. Okay, to be honest with you, if the Avengers showed up against the Void, they have no shot. Even with Wanda, it might make it a little interesting, because she is an Omega level mutant, but ultimately the Sentry's going to win. You'd have to bring in like Galactus. You know what I mean? You'd have to bring in some really heavy bad boys to go against the Sentry. And I thought that they did a great job of conveying how powerful he is, but also, to your point, Robert cares for these people. So yeah, he's going to deal with them, but he's not going to hurt them. And there's nothing that Contessa can say. The other thing about Contessa that I thought she did a great job of, she is deliciously evil, right? And I know, what the hell do you mean, T-Wil? Well, what I'm saying is she's evil and you dislike her, but you don't hate her, right? Like, who was that kid in Game of Thrones? Oh my God, I hated him. Jesus.
I never watched Game of Thrones.
You did? Oh my God, Jordan, you need to take like a weekend.
I don't really. That Game of Thrones does not seem like my cup of tea.
Okay, yeah. All right. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm trying to think of another villain that I just really hated, but she is just as evil. But there's this logical side to her that makes her digestible. And what I mean is the conversation that she has with her assistant, where she's like, when you're young, you think the world is good and evil. It's not. It's bad people and worse people. And what I take from that statement is, I'm not doing these things to be nefarious. I'm doing these things because they have to get done. Because if I don't do them, somebody else is going to do them. And the somebody else that does them is probably not going to have our best interest at heart. And
Mm-hmm.
so, yes, she's a villain, but I think in her heart, she's doing the wrong thing for the right reason. Does that
Mm-hmm.
make sense?
Yep. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. So, all right, let's so they we're skipping around some scenes, but
Mm-hmm.
essentially the sentry has Contessa up against the wall and he doesn't see the assistant because he's pissed. And she snaps the kill switch. And he goes down and Contessa thinks, oh great, I've gotten away with it. All right, this is a shit show. Let me get out of here. Da 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 da. Not realizing that she's just opened the gateway to the sentry, right? And the sentry wakes up and he is this dark, faceless void with these light gray eyes. Talk to me about how you felt the first time you saw that and saw him as that entity. Just give me your thoughts on that.
So I want to say this when I'm going into any of these Marvel movies or DC movies, a movie that I'm like with the franchise 100%. I will only watch. I watch the teaser trailer. I watch the first trailer, and I will watch no other trailers. And the
Okay.
trailers ahead of the first one spoiled the look of the Void. I didn't get to see that. My first instance of seeing the Void was in the movie theater,
Oh,
and an incredible design.
yeah.
Just pure darkness, and the only thing you can see is just these white eyes. It's haunting to
Yeah.
look at.
Yeah.
And yeah, whoever thought of the idea of that design, fantastic. That was an incredible job. I mean, and him with his powers, just turning people into
Just
shadows,
boom, boom, boom,
like it's
boom.
nothing.
Yeah,
And it was haunting
it
to
was.
look at.
It
And
was.
when we get to like the Thunderbolts saving people on the street and Red Guardian saves a little girl, both times that I saw it in the theaters, everybody in the theater went like gasped audibly
Yeah.
after the little girl turned into a shadow. Because you forgot for a second, because
Right.
the Thunderbolts are having this moment, this team moment, where
Yeah.
they're saving people from falling debris, which we haven't gotten in a Marvel project in a while. Like, you almost miss falling debris.
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
and they're saving people, and the people are just trying to survive, and you have these people who were villains in other projects
Mm-hmm.
just trying to save people, because in those other projects they were never doing something to wrong other people. They were just trying to do the right thing, and the right thing in this moment
Right.
was to save all these people.
Right. And I think
So
they feel good about this, right?
yeah.
And not to cut you off, but we need to take a step back. So what's important about them coming together in this moment is they just got their ass whooped by Sentry,
Hmm.
right? And they go outside and they do what most people do. Guys, we suck. We're awful. You know what I mean? I don't know if you've ever seen the Bad News Bears. That movie's way before your time.
Hmm. I
But
have not.
yeah. So, but they kind of have this moment where guys, we just suck. And they go off on it. And it's funny, right? Because
Mhm.
Yelena says to what she said to you, you suck and your family hates you, or something like that.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, damn, she's mean when she gets mad.
Mm.
She's like, nobody cares. And she was like, well, what about you? And she was like, I suck too. We all suck. We're terrible. And I'm leaving, right? And so they're kind of fractured. It's kind of like, and you know what else, Jordan? What was great about this movie is that there were so many tiebacks to the Avengers. So remember when they're taking on Ultron,
Hmm.
And the first time the Hulk loses it because Wanda gets in his mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that ride back on the Quinjet
Mm-hmm.
where they're all like, oh God, they're fractured. They're not turning on each other, but you can see that they're fractured. It's reminiscent of this, but to your point, because these guys are essentially misfits, they do what misfits would do, and they turn on each other, right? These are not the cool kids in high school. These are not the kids that got along with everybody in high school. These are antisocial. As a matter of fact, Contessa even says it. Oh my God, this is the worst team. There's no way they're able to work together. And this is, but it unfortunately it has to happen because they have to have that moment of accountability to each other, but they also have to be transparent with each other, right? And so they
Mm-hmm.
just, again, I don't think it resonates with them. It does resonate with them how powerful the Sentry is, but in that moment where they got their ass kicked, they got their ass kicked, right? It'd be like me and you playing Madden against somebody and we lose 100-0. We're gonna be like, after that moment, Jordan, we suck. I mean, I don't know if we need to go to like 2K, but we got our asses kicked.
I'm pretty good at Madden. I mean,
Oh, okay. We got a flex. This is a big flex moment. It's a big
I
flex moment. Okay.
I
Okay.
mean, I've defeated people 100-0 in Madden. So
Oh, okay. Oh,
I've been playing Madden for 15 years. I've played
okay.
all the Maddens. So
Okay.
I'm
Talk your ish, Jordan. Talk it.
not
Talk.
to flex, but I'm
Oh,
gonna flex. I'm
okay.
pretty good at Madden.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad
Hmm.
at it, brother. I'm not.
Anyways, keep
That,
going,
no,
keep
you
going.
know what? That's just a Scorpio in you, brother. I get it. I understand. I understand. I understand. I really do. So, they just got their asses handed to them, and
Hmm.
they're like, guys, we suck or whatever. And they come apart. And then Wanda has this moment, not Wanda, Yelena, I'm sorry,
Hmm.
with her dad, which I thought was great, right? I have 3 kids, and sometimes in dealing with your kids, you have to tell them who they are. You have to remind them, you've done this. This is nothing, girl. You're this, because she's feeling so empty right now. She's feeling so much guilt. She's feeling so bad. And he says to her, do you remember why you wanted to be the goalie in the soccer team? It's because you wanted everybody to depend on you, and you're still that person. And in that moment, he connects with his little girl, right? And I think this was the key to the team, because those two, believe it or not, they're the life's blood. Even though he's the comic relief, they're the life's blood of the team. And so when they come together, it's like, okay, we get it. And then all of a sudden, these things happening, and the moment where this giant pillar falls down, and U.S. agent who catches it on his back, and then they all come together to push it up and push it over. That's a moment right there. And in that moment, the crowd claps for them. And I think in that moment, Jordan, that's when they become a team, because
Hmm.
they're like, okay, yeah, we can do this. Damn it, we can do. Look at what we just did. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Um, yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off, but I felt like we needed to kind of give the backstory on why that
Hmm.
moment was so big and so
Hmm.
momentous at that time. But I'm sorry, Jordan. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take your thought. Go ahead.
No, and with that moment, I mean, I mean, I've had conversations with people who have said the same thing Yelena said with her and her dad. Like I've seen those, I've had those conversations with people, and where you feel like you're all alone,
Yeah.
and you don't have a purpose in life,
Yeah.
and it's such a powerful, and it really resonates with so many people, and it's something that I don't think the Avengers did. And the Avengers is a 10 out of 10 movie for me.
It is. It is.
I love the original
It is.
Avengers. But when it comes to the emotional impact that this movie gives, it hits harder. And I was after I got done seeing the movie, because I went to see it with someone, and I said, I don't remember the last time that I watched a Marvel movie and I felt this this deeply about like the emotional turmoil that is happening in this movie.
Yes.
And like people will say, oh, look at Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I get with Guardians of the Galaxy 3, that's a little different because there it's about animals and animal cruelty. I get that a lot. But when it comes to emotional trauma and trauma in general,
Yeah.
I don't know when the last time it may have been Endgame, but Endgame didn't go this deep into it.
It didn't.
Infinity War, same thing, really didn't go as deep. I don't remember the last time a Marvel movie did this. So, I mean, you might have to go back to Iron Man 3, where Tony's like trying to recover from the trauma from the end of the Avengers. And
I think you are 100% correct. I don't think they've done it. Even in Iron Man 3. You know what this and it's funny you say that. What was the name of that movie? It was an animated movie, but it was about emotions. What was it? Golly.
Oh, yeah. I just watched that for the first time this year.
It reminded me of that. It reminded me a lot of that.
Yeah. I literally just watched that. Where was it? Where was it?
It was about anxiety.
Inside Out.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
It reminded me of that a little bit.
Yes.
Like I said.
Yep.
Yeah. Bro, I connected with this movie specifically because of what is going on with my mind. And this movie could not have been released at a better time because she died May 16th. Tomorrow's Mother's Day. So I've been leading up to this, and it hit different. I'm like, it connected with me. Like, I'm gonna be honest, right now, with the exception of Endgame, this is my favorite Marvel movie. Now, again, that's me. I'm not saying it's better. I'm not saying that. I'm saying for me, to your point, on an emotional level, where you can connect with something, where you can relate to it, where you can see yourself in it, bro, this is it. This is 100% it, right? 100%. I thought it was great. And I thought in that moment, we begin to see them come together as a team. And then the Void shows up. And what was interesting is, even in him being in his Void state, he never made them shadows, which tells you that Robert is still in there to some capacity. You get what I'm saying? Because everybody else is like, you can get a shadow, and you can get it, and you can get it, and you too. To your point, he did it to a little girl. Bro, but he doesn't do it to them, which lets you know that Robert, in some capacity, is in there still holding on for dear life, right? And so the Void shows up, and Helena starts to walk in there, and her dad is like, "Oh no, you're not," and they gotta hold it back, and she walks in there, and again, and there's so many tiebacks in this movie. As she walks into that abyss, it takes me back to Infinity War when Wanda jumps off that cliff and sacrifices herself. You get what I'm saying? Also, the fact that the battle took place in New York in a lot of the same locations. I thought they did. And a lot of people didn't recognize that, but I just thought that was great. This really was. You could have named this movie The New Avengers and been fine. With everything that took place, right? I love the way that they did it, and we'll get into it later, but you could have gone with The New Avengers and you'd have been fine with it. But anyway, Wanda walks into the abyss, and we get to see all her past sins, everything that's bugging her, and she goes through it from room to room, and finally she gets to Robert. Jordan, take me through your thoughts as they have that encounter and what's going on in your mind as they have this conversation, because this is a key focal point in the movie. Give me your thoughts on that.
Well, I think this scene, I think there's like the whole moral of this movie kind of gets captured into this scene that
Yeah.
we don't have to handle trauma alone,
Right.
and we
Right.
can talk to someone about it, whether that's a friend, a family member, or going to see a therapist, a counselor, or someone. And Yelena wanted to be there for Robert, and instead of like telling him, she did say you need to stop this,
Yeah.
but he was like, it's not me.
Right.
And then she starts to understand, and she just wants to sit there and be next to him.
Yeah.
And I a lot, of course, social media likes to couple a lot of characters. So all the people are saying, "Oh, Yelena and Bob." That's what social media is talking about. And it's not. It's. I think those people are missing the point.
Right. The point of it. Yeah.
Because the point is just being there for someone, and like she just sat down, crisscross applesauce, right next to him, and held his hand, and that's because that's what he needed in that moment.
Yeah.
And there was like a pause in there to let you just, even though there's all this happening. I mean, we as she's in there or next to him, they pan out to New York and seeing that void grow larger and larger throughout New York, and she's not worried about that right now.
Right.
Even though the city is a shadow, she's
not
worried about that.
Right.
Yeah. And she did not care about that at all. She cared about being there for her friend in that moment, because that's what he needed. So I think it was a very powerful moment for this movie and the entire MCU.
Yeah. I agree. And you put it so beautifully. I'm not even going to comment on it, man. I just like I say, man, I really connected with this, and it's so interesting that you point that out, because so many other people would have been like, "Hurry up," or whatever. And she's like, "No, we're gonna get through this together. Let's just sit down. Let's talk about it." And then all of a sudden, the void realizes it and starts throwing stuff at him, and lo and behold, what happens? But the other Thunderbolts come through. They decided, you know what, we're gonna go down with the ship. They walk through the void as well, and they are all together fighting this thing, right? And then they say to him, "Hey, how do we get out of here?" And he's like, "Well, I never really thought about that. I never really got to this point." And they say, "Well, what are the worst rooms that you have to go through?" Because I guess they figured you can't go out of it. You got to go through it. So they go to the room where the void is, and we have this standoff between Robert Reynolds and the void. And the void says to him, "Oh, you think these people care about you? They don't." And I'm gonna tell you something. That is 100% what depression is like. It is a very isolationist state, and it's not necessarily based in reality, but it's based on the demons and the trauma that you have that resides in you. And he's keying on all of it. These people don't care about you. It's only me. You're alone. You're alone. You're alone. You're alone. And the void starts throwing stuff at them, and they're powerless to this point. And the tide really turns when he starts to throw stuff at Yelena, and he says, "Don't you hurt her." And he's like, "Ha! They don't care about you." And this angers Robert. And for the first time, we see Robert confront the void. And the void is giving him the business. And then, Robert starts to win. And Bucky says, "This feels wrong." And Red Guardian pulls Yelena loose. And Yelena just goes up to him and says, "Hey, you're not alone." and she just this was the most beautiful part of the movie because I got what they were saying. I totally get it, and I think it was just great. And they all come around and hug him, and they say, "You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone." And the void begins to descend back in its place, and before you know it, the void is gone. And I thought that was great because that is exactly what depression is like. And there's nothing else I can say about it. I thought that was a great scene. I thought Marvel got 100%. They got that 100% right because that is exactly what it's like. That is exactly what was needed. And it was just they did a great job of that. They did a great job of not only showing how powerful the void was, how powerful the Sentry was, but they did a great job on what it would take to really defeat him because that's the only thing you could do. You can't fight this dude. You can't. There's no way. You can't fight this dude. Thanos couldn't fight. Thanos with the Power Stone. That might be a good fight. That with all
good fight.
Stuff, that'd be a good fight.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm still betting on the Sentry.
Mm-hmm.
But point is, the way they handled that was just perfect, right? It was perfect. And they come back to reality, and in true Robert Reynolds fashion, he's like, "Oh, guys, what just happened?" He's like, "Hey, U.S. agent, whatever his name is, John, whatever his name is. Hey, how you doing? Da 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 da." And he doesn't recollect what happened, and they're looking at him like, "Are you serious, dude? Do you know the ruckus that you just caused?" And he's like, "No, I don't." And all of a sudden, we see Contessa, and Contessa is such a manipulator, right? Because she sees them seeing her, and she's like, "What? I'm alone. I don't have any backup. What are you saying?" And she does it intentionally so they can hear her. And obviously, they're pissed off with her because she started all of this. And so they go towards her to arrest her and take her in, and she steps through this veil, and all of a sudden it's the press. And she says, "This was all my idea. These are my new Avengers. I did this as basically a way of staying out of jail." And initially it pisses them off until Yelena whispers in her ear, we own you, right? We own you, right? Like you this ain't gonna go like you think it was to go. Talk to me about your thoughts of just the final scene and just that whole interaction. Give me your thoughts about that.
So when when she was by the first time I saw it, I kind of the way she was talking, I was like, all right, I'm pretty sure there's something behind there. It could be press. It seemed like, all right, this might be pretty predictable that she got the press to come in for Century, and now that's we don't have Century, and she doesn't have Century anymore. She can be like, all right, well, these guys, look at what these guys did. Like,
right.
Here's the new Avengers,
right.
and now retroactively you can call this movie the new Avengers.
Yeah.
So all the advertising, all the websites are switching from Thunderbolts to the new Avengers. So like in my Letterboxd account where I have a ranking of all the movies and shows, I put Thunderbolts with the asterisk and then / the new Avengers because you could call it either one. Yeah. If you're a first-time viewer, you're going to say the Thunderbolts, but by the end, you're going to call it the New Avengers. Now, This isn't the first time Marvel's done this. They didn't go like retroactively changing things, but the end of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, when the credits roll, it says Captain America and the White Wolf.
It sure does. I forgot about that. You're right. You're right.
So it's not the first time they've done this, and I kind of, in that moment, started calling it Captain America and the White Wolf, but since then, people just call it Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Whenever I used to use abbreviations, the abbreviations for that is Fat W's, for those who don't know, when you're using Falcon and the Winter Soldier. So, with this, I remember when they announced Thunderbolts, This was before they had the asterisk, and they had like concept art of all the characters and their original costumes from their shows and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know how this is going to work, because you have 3 super soldiers, you have a spy, Ghost is pretty interesting, and then Taskmaster can just replicate all their moves. So it's like the only very interesting one to me is Ghost. So I'm like, I don't know how this is going to work, and this movie really worked.
It really did. It really did.
And yeah, the new Avengers. I thought maybe she was going to say the Dark Avengers. I thought maybe she could have said the Thunderbolts. Saying the New Avengers, because in the comics, the New Avengers can be many different lineups, but mostly it's a different adaptation of the original Avengers.
Right.
And so to call this group the New Avengers, I was like, okay. Like, I'm still not fully on board with calling this group the New Avengers until the end credit scene, which we'll get to later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't like fully on board. But I also like how it ended. I like that it ended abruptly, and I know some people were like, "Well, I wish we got a little bit more." And no, we covered everything. We don't need anything else. And the end credit scene really added to what at the end credit scene, the mid credit scene, and the credits. The first credits themselves might be the greatest credits in any Marvel movie.
I would
outside of Endgame, because Endgame's credits are just beautifully done.
Yeah.
But it's like the design work. I mean, when I saw Yelena, I don't know the girl's name from World War II, but doing the pose where like this, I don't remember what the artwork was, but when Yelena does that, I was like, that's cool. I love that. I was like, that people are going to be taking pictures of that and putting that on posters. Them doing the Revolutionary War style photo where they're on a boat and they have U.S. agent Yelena and all of them looking like George Washington and the rest of the U.S. military. And if for those who didn't notice, that guinea pig at the beginning of the movie that Yelena saved is at the front of the boat, which was funny. Those credits were so well done, especially like having newspapers saying like this is our team, like newspaper headlines against this team. I love that so much.
Remember the B-Vengers? Remember the caption that said the B-Vengers? I was like, wow, okay. But that's exactly what it would be like, especially in New York. That's exactly what it would be like. Yeah.
But those credits, those were, I mean, in my opinion, the best credits of any Marvel movie.
I would agree with you. And let's get into that end credit scene, because there are so many ways to interpret that scene. And it ties into the New Avengers. Let's just open up the can. So there's a comic, Avengers versus New Avengers, in which incursions occur. So in this comic, there are universes that are colliding because somebody did something, and it's now caused this disruption. And okay, let me take a step back. The reason I feel like this could be a part of the storyline is because in the end credit, we see this ship that's coming into New York that the New Avengers are looking at, and at the bottom it says Fantastic Four. Now, the reason this is so important is because for all intents and purposes, the Fantastic Four movie takes place in another universe. So for them to arrive here, they are obviously traveling to this universe. Now, the first question you'd have to ask yourself is, Why? Why would the Fantastic Four be going into a new universe? Well, we know that in their movie, a part of the plot is Galactus comes to their universe and if you know anything about Galactus, Galactus eats planets, right? That's what he does. He has a herald, which is a Silver Surfer. Silver Surfer goes out and finds the planets, and in a very creepy way goes out and warns people, hey, your planet's about to be destroyed. So, I don't know what you want to do. You ain't got to go home, but you can't stay here. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's that sort of, which is kind of creepy, but whatever. But for them to be leaving, it feels like this could be a part of the incursion. So in the comic, right, this happens, and I am wondering, right, because this is me doing my whole crazy head thing. We know that in Doomsday, you're gonna have Hydra Captain America and some bad Avengers. I wonder if those Avengers are gonna take on the X-Men and this group of Avengers, with the part of the storyline being there's some in the incursion storyline. If it's a blue incursion, you've got what, 24 hours, and you either destroy the planet that's coming towards you, or you're on a collision, or you die. But either way, one of the planets, whether it's your planet or somebody's got to destroy one of those planets, and that's your only way to live. That's a blue incursion. A red incursion is so much better because you have these things that are literally hopping from planets, coming down to kill everything in sight and cull it for their life so it can add to them. Anyway, not trying to get off course here, but the bottom line is, I feel like, Jordan, and you can tell me what you think, but I feel like this could be a part of the storyline. I think the Fantastic Four is coming into this universe because they're running. Now, that's how I feel. How do you feel? Give me your thoughts on it. And I got to do some housekeeping. My cousin Chucky, who is a Marvel enthusiast as well, just hopped in, and he says, originally in the Marvel universe, you have the Avengers and the West Coast Avengers. What up, cuz? What up, Chucky? He says that is a Hollywood storyline. Jordan, give me your thoughts on this. I know I'm way deep into it, but give me your thoughts on it.
I mean, I agree with you. I mean, it seems like the Fantastic Four are running. I've seen other people. I mean, I was like, what else would they be doing? I will say, it's a little weird if you go and watch the Fantastic Four trailer and then you watch the end credit scene. The end credit scene ship has like 3 like tails, and in the trailer for Fantastic Four has 4. So or vice versa. It's one or the other. Right. And so I felt like that was weird. Maybe that's an issue with like directing. So for those who don't know, this end credit scene was filmed like 6-8 weeks ago. It was directed by the Russo brothers. This specific end credit scene, who are directing Doomsday and Secret Wars. So because this group was already on set for Doomsday, they were like, all right, let's film the end credit scene for Thunderbolts or the New Avengers. And you know what? That's perfect timing. Like, if you're going to do that, that makes total sense. And this goes, before I get into my theory, this end credit scene is what old end credit scenes used to be like. Yeah. An end credit scene that leads into the next movie. Yes. And I love that so much.
And make you ponder and debate. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
And I love the recent end credit scenes that we've gotten with Eternals getting Blade in the background talking to Black Knight. I love that. Getting the guy from Ted Lasso who's going to be playing Hercules. Fantastic. I love that so much. Roy Kent, for those who haven't watched Ted Lasso. I love the end credit scenes, but this one, because those movies, we don't really know where they're headed.
Yeah.
This one felt extra special, just because the next movie that we're going to see is going to be, we're going to see the end result of that end credit scene in the next one. So my theory is, like you said, we'll keep in mind that Susan and Reed Richards had a son.
That's a good point, Franklin.
Yes.
Franklin. That's a good point.
Franklin Richards, it's very possible, I've heard this theory that in Fantastic Four, because Sue is pregnant, and we get introduced that really early, I feel like they're trying to point at the camera saying, like, this is very important, pay attention to this. And I think it's possible that Franklin Richards' birth, because of how powerful he is, creates the like signal to Galactus to be like, all right, I have to eat this world, because we can't let this baby be born because he's going to be way too powerful.
Right.
I've seen that theory. I'm like, that makes total sense. That makes so much sense.
It does.
So,
do me a favor before you do that. Explain to our audience who Franklin Richards is and just how powerful he is, because they need to know, like, why you would get someone like, you're not just gonna get Galactus's attention.
Yeah.
This is Galactus. So if you could just kind of talk through how powerful, because that's a good point, Chucky. Thank you for that. Talk through how powerful Franklin Richards is and the power that he possesses.
So Franklin Richards is an Omega level mutant. So he's technically a mutant, and he was born to Reed and Sue. And I mean, he's an all-powerful being like Wanda. I mean, they can warp reality however they may see fit. They are, like, we think Thor's a god, but these characters are gods. Like, they can rewrite all of reality if they wanted to.
They're reality keepers, which are the most powerful beings, right? You got Franklin Richards, who you don't want a problem with. Let me tell you something. You don't want a problem with Franklin Richards. You got the mad Jim Jaspers. Again, you do not want a problem with these dudes, because they can literally warp reality. And this is a good theory by Chucky, because I didn't even think about it, but you're right. It is powerful enough to reach somebody like Galactus. Galactus say, no, I don't think I should let him live, because 50 years from now he's going to kill me, right? But I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, and like he's saying, like, read the Onslaught storyline. That is exactly where you need to know, like, this whole situation with Onslaught. I think with I keep confusing Franklin and Nathaniel Richards. Nathaniel Richards is Kang the Conqueror, basically. Right. So I always get Nathaniel and Franklin confused. But with Franklin, I mean, it sounds like he's going to be a very important character in the future. Now, in some instances, in the comics, when you're reading them, I mean, he's born, but because he can manipulate reality, he can show himself as being this older character, even though he's like 3 years old, he can be shown being like 30 years old, 60 years old. I think this might be what gets Galactus's attention. It's also possible that Reed maybe does something, because in the trailer you see Reed say, like, I forget what he says specifically, but he's like talking about how he did something and now it's gained people's attention. And it's possible that he figures out, like, incursions and I mean, I think it's going to be pretty obvious that he figures out incursions pretty quickly. I think Galactus gets involved and is like, all right, you know what? I have to do something about it, and I'm hungry, and I'm gonna eat this planet. So, and it's possible this is where Reed and Sue go to the MCU universe. I mean, that's what I got out of that with the Fantastic Four. And then the other part of this is Sam Wilson's Captain America. Tried talking to Bucky about like why he would build this like this like new team. And you know what? If I'm gonna defend Bucky, this was on accident. It didn't. I don't think Bucky wanted to get involved in this whatsoever. But he kind of just got forced into it, especially because they specifically say in the end credit scene that's government funded, which we go back to what we said at the beginning of the video. That's how the comics work. It was government funded. So the government supports this Avengers team, but they're not going to support whatever team Sam builds.
Right.
So I think we might get like a Civil War, Infinity War combined type movie for Doomsday where we see the new Avengers. We're going to see these different teams. We're going to see the new Avengers. We're going to see the Avengers that Sam builds, which I've heard that's probably going to be done behind the scenes, which I hate that. I want to see him build the team because I don't know. That kind of imagine going into the original Avengers movie without seeing Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, and not seeing Nick Fury recruit them. Right. So that's my thing. That's what I didn't like about it. But we're going to see the new Avengers. We're going to see Sam's Avengers team. We're going to see Fantastic Four. Very clearly with all of the actors getting announced, we're going to get the X-Men, which are going to be from another universe. And it's very possible we get another team in there, like a Young Avengers team, a West Coast Avengers. It's possible the West Coast Avengers gets treated like the Young Avengers, or the Young Avengers gets treated like the West Coast Avengers. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with Ironheart. It's possible Ironheart gets involved with this. It's possible Ironheart doesn't get involved with this either because they haven't been marketing that show at all, which sucks. That's the last project that's probably going to be based off of the previous iteration of Disney. Yeah. We also have a movie scheduled to come out in February that has not been canceled yet and has not been confirmed. We don't know what it is. We do not know what that movie in February is going to be. I think it's probably going to be a Doctor Strange 3. That's my thing because it would be really good to tie in the ending of Multiverse of Madness where he fixes the incursion, whatever incursion he occurred, with Charlize Theron. And it could also really easily tie into whatever issue occurs between we're likely going to see incursions in Doomsday. Yeah. Be a perfect way to transition those two.
You're 100% right. Because matter of fact, Steven references that you need to, because of what you did, you need to come help me fix this. Mm-hmm. She sure does. So you're yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, but I can't wait for Doomsday. I mean, I know a lot of people. I want to get this out there about Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom. When I heard that, I'm skeptical. I know Robert Downey Jr. is a fantastic actor. I know he's gonna act his butt off as Dr. Doom, and he's gonna do his best version of Dr. Doom. I know that. I just don't like writing. I don't like writing Dr. Doom being a variant of Iron Man. It's clear that he's going to be a variant of Iron Man. Even if he's not, it just doesn't make sense. It makes sense from like a Civil War almost aspect, because if you're Tom Holland Spider-Man, which I think he's going to be in Doomsday, I know they haven't said it and people have been like, oh, he's not going to be in Doomsday. I'm pretty sure most of the characters that we've been introduced will be in Doomsday. Secret Wars is where we might get Tobey Maguire Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and all these other characters. But like seeing like Tom Holland Spider-Man look at the face of Iron Man, but it's actually Dr. Doom, would screw around with his head. He's already in a bad mental state. Who knows how Spider-Man 4 is going to go? Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Yeah.
I heard that's gonna be grounded and emotional, and I'm like, okay, that's great. I can't wait to see him face off against the face of basically his mentor, and you're gonna see other characters like Sam's gonna see that face and be like, what? Like it's gonna be a lot of confused people. So I think Robert Downey Jr. is gonna do a great job as Doctor Doom, and I just wish they went with an original route of like a new actor, but it seems like they might be rushing this movie to be good. They're not going to rush this movie like production or anything, but it seems like they want people to be seated because they want the original Avengers, the first saga level of movies back again.
Yeah.
Something we've missed over the last couple of years.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I would agree with that. And honestly, I think they took a look at it and said, because in the comics, Iron Man, in some iteration of him, does become Doctor Doom. So you're okay there. But I think they took a look at it and said, what would be the most outrageous thing we could? I know. Let's just make Iron Man Doctor Doom. And you're right. It's going to cause ruckus, especially with Spider-Man. It's going to cause. I mean, seeing his face. Oh my God, dude. That's on some Exorcist type. Like
he's gonna be like Mr. Stark, and he's like, "There's only Doom." Can we make this clear that he's gonna make some sort of Doom meme like all other Doctor Doom iterations have, where he's like, "There's only Doom," or like it's Doctor Doom now. Like we're gonna get that.
Of course. Chucky has a good point here. He says, my question is, why haven't they involved Adam Warlock during the Infinity Gemstone storyline? They just chose not to do that because and you know what? Here's the thing. In the Infinity comic book, it was the Silver Surfer that went to Doctor Strange's house and said Thanos is coming. And I guess at that point, I don't know if they didn't have the rights to Galactus because he tied in the Fantastic Four. Maybe the timing didn't align.
Yeah.
But I know that Adam Warlock did resolve the conflict in the comic book, and he ended up with the Infinity Stone. But I don't know. And Adam Warlock, again, that's another figure like the Sentry, just extremely powerful being. Maybe we see him later. I mean, we don't know. But
there's a few characters like Adam. We have Adam Warlock now. We have Sentry. We have Wanda. Wanda's dead technically. Technically, she's dead. Right. I don't think anyone actually believes that. But like, if you saw the ending of Multiverse Madness, you're like, yeah, I don't think she's dead. Plus, like, all right, you have an Omega level hero. You have this like Nexus being that is Wanda. You think she's gonna get killed by a bunch of rocks?
I don't think so,
no.
I don't think so. No, I would.
So you have all these characters, and I think one of them, I think that might be how Doctor Doom becomes like that Beyonder Doom. Like I know we might get introduced to Beyonder at some point in Doomsday or Secret Wars, and if we don't, that's a very real possibility. It's possible that somehow Doom absorbs the powers from all of those characters, like Adam Warlock, like Sentry.
Yeah, that's true.
It would be a perfect opportunity for him to get Beyonder-like powers and be this new Nexus being that creates Secret Battle World and Secret Wars.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Got a new member to the chat. Aaron Yeager says, do you watch animes? How many animes have you watched? Did you watch AOT? I've never seen AOT. Jordan, you?
I assume that's Attack on Titan. That's the only one I've ever heard of, and I've never watched any anime before. That's my cousin's a big anime person, so I don't dabble into that.
I did a long time ago, but it's been a minute. So sorry about that, Aaron. Sorry about that. But yeah, so Jordan, I thank you for joining us, man. We appreciate it. This was fun as always. We got to do this again. We said we were going to do the Marvel Universe, so at some point during this year, we need to go ahead and kick that off. But I think this is a good start. You know what I mean? I mean,
Oh yeah.
we did get Daredevil episode 1 and 2, which we got to go back and finish. But you know, I think this was a good time to do Thunderbolts, and yeah, man, I appreciate it. So we to those of you out there in the chat, we are going to do the entire Marvel universe, which is probably going to take us about a year. Maybe it's going to take a while, okay? Because we're not going to be doing it every week, but there are what 30, 35, 40 different Marvel movies.
Well, all right. If we're just doing the MCU, there's like 30 something. But like I have a list on Letterboxd with all my ranking of MCU movies and also the tied universe multiverse movies. So like I have Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man movies because if you watch No Way Home without watching the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, you might be it doesn't feel as impactful.
Right.
Yeah.
Especially the Gwen scene. The Gwen
Yes.
scene. Yeah, you're right about that.
And Deadpool and Wolverine, same thing when you got Blade. Like I've rewatched all of them so far and given my definitive ranking and rating one of 0.5 out of 10 to 10. And the only thing I need to go back and rewatch is the Blade trilogy. And it's not free on any streaming apps, so I might just have to put in the DVD player and go watch the trilogy that way.
You might have to do it. Yeah. You know what? So that's it. You're talking about maybe 45, 50 movies, right? So
well, so I did this. I messaged someone the day before I saw Thunderbolts, and I'm at like 83 total projects, like including individual episodes for shows and movies. It's so enormous, like how far we've gone, and it takes over a year to just rewatch them all. Okay. I mean, we're talking about all of the Defenders from the Netflix series, because now that's canon. We're talking about all of the X-Men movies. We're talking about, like I said, the Blade trilogy, the Elektra, Ben Affleck, Daredevil duo combo there.
I forgot about that. Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, you're okay. All right. Yeah. That's probably take us a year and a half, Jordan. That's a while. All right, so we gotta come up with a starting point and then just do it. And
I had to make a spreadsheet. I had to make a spreadsheet of like the chronological order of all of these universes and when I would watch them. And that's been my viewing order. So I have like my own viewing order, which goes off of Disney Plus's MCU order on top of like research and like, oh, what year did Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire take place? What year did The Amazing Spider-Man 1 take place? And like kind of arranging it that way.
You got to send me that spreadsheet, man, because I'm not going to do that much research. So if you could, when you get a chance.
Oh, yeah. I will.
And hey, let's come up with the date and time, and we'll start this thing, and we'll go from there. And we got to come up with the starting point, and once we do, everybody in the chat will let you know. We'll get the show out, and of course, as these movies come out, we will obviously cover them as well, because this is probably going to take us a year and a half. You're going to cover maybe even two. I mean, a holiday, two here or there. I can't make it here or there. I mean, so. But hey, it is a project. It is fun. We both love Marvel, so I'm game for it. If you are, Jordan, let's do it.
Oh yeah.
Good deal. Well, hey man, tell these folks where they can find you.
Well, mostly I don't talk about Marvel too much, but mostly I talk about sports. I mean, you got all this sports stuff here. You can find me at Ultegacy, Ultegacy. I mean, I'm on Letterboxd, but I don't really share. I have lists of other movies. I don't just watch Marvel. I watch horror movies. I've got all the Halloween movies ranked. I got all the Friday the 13th movies ranked. Nightmare on Elm Street. I got lists for every genre except for westerns because I'm not a westerns fan or a musicals fan.
Oh wow! Oh, I just got this vision of Clint Eastwood, Jordan. Why'd you eat the ice cream? Okay. Anyway. Yeah, no, and look at Jordan is also on our show Friday evenings with myself and Deboe Vibes, and we cover the NFL. But yeah, man, we're gonna get together. We're gonna make this happen, and it's gonna be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. So again, Jordan, can't thank you enough, brother. Couldn't do this without you. Those of us who joined us in the chat, thank you. Could not do this without you. This was fun. We do it with you because we couldn't do it without you, and we appreciate you. I want to thank God for waking me up this morning. I appreciate that. And last but not least, I want to thank Mr. Jack Spade and Mr. Eric Parker for helping me get my start in this business. Cousin Chucky, I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for joining us. Aaron Yeager, thanks for joining us. Who else joined us here? Christy Lewis, thanks for joining us. King Richie, Michael, thanks for joining us. Island Mike, thanks for joining us. And we are out. You guys have an amazing day. Thanks, everybody. Good night.